Velina me ke aloha ya kako apau, aloha. Mahalo nui everybody for coming tonight. My name is Kahele Duklo and I am a part of Kako Haleakala and also Protect Haleakala. And after the two community meetings a few last week or the week before, we wanted to have a meeting where we could engage with the Air Force on our terms. We wanted to make sure that we could ask the questions that we wanted to ask. We could create a space for dialogue. And we could also create a space where we could give some historical background on the many issues that that we have been facing with Haleakala for the past 20 or so, 15 to 20 years. So that's how we designed our engagement tonight. We have some tables in the back where you're able to submit your testimony. We have a camera set up in the back room where if you have had the opportunity or have not had the opportunity to provide testimony at the community meetings, there's a opportunity for you to do that in the back room, and we will be making those testimonies available to the Air Force as well as on social media and on YouTube. We also have some mea in the back, so please help yourself whenever you like. Please go ahead. So I think I want to take this opportunity to ask the folks that will be sitting on the panel, maybe after, maybe mahope. I think we'll have our presentations first so you guys can see and you don't have to turn around. So we have 3 short presentations. The first one will be done by Hina Nubel, and she will talk about the mo'olelo of Haleakala, the Hawaiian mo'olelo of Haleakala, to kind of ground us in that history and in that space. We will have Le'ohu Ryder after that, who will talk about Kilakila o Haleakala and the many years that they've spent in protection of Haleakala before the DKIST or the ATST was being built. And then we will have Kalekoa Ka'eo, who will talk about Kako o Haleakala, who is a group that organized post Supreme Court cases and in solidarity with Kilakila o Haleakala. So we'll have those 3 presentations, and then we will begin with our panel, and I'll call those folks up at that time. So at this moment, I will ask Hina Nubel to come up and provide us. Mahalo.
Aloha nui kako. Which mic is better? This one? This one. This one more better, yeah? This one's better? Okay. Okay, now I just gotta find my presentation. Ooh. It was here. Ayala. Okay. E nā kini makamaka o ihi kapalau maiwa, me oko ke kapo ku'u aloha I keia ahi awina la hoi. Aloha nui mai kako. Mahalo nui to all of you for being here. The Royal Order of Kamehameha, our Kaiaulu, the Air Force. As Kahele mentioned, after the community meetings, we really needed to take some time to explain why our mountain is sacred, is historic, and is a lifeline for us. But that's not something that we can do in a 3-minute testimony. So that's why we shaped this time tonight, so that we could be together and really dive into these topics, because they're important and they deserve our full attention. I hope that for the next 30 to 40 minutes while these presentations happen, that for you folks at the Air Force, that you can look and listen as human beings first, rather than as representatives of the Air Force. If we can meet on that human level in the shared experience of valuing a place, perhaps there can be greater understanding between us. My goal this evening is to paint a picture for you of the entire mountain, sea to summit, 365 degrees, as a living, breathing ancestral system whose most sacred part is its pico, or summit. This is a story of connection rather than fragmentation, and of a people who have not forgotten our place in the order of things. But we should start at the beginning, in the fertile and generative darkness that we call the pole. It is a space of limitless potential, where energy coalesces and life takes form. Our most extensive genealogical chant of creation is called the Kumulipo. Long before Charles Darwin came up with his theory of evolution, Hawaiians were chanting their universe, from the Vale Vale Ho'okumu Honua, much like the Western idea of a primordial soup, to the plants and animals, and down to themselves. In this genealogy, the coral polyp was the first true organism. Then plants were born in the ocean and paired with others born on land. This land-sea connection is a foundational and enduring concept in our worldview, epitomized by the Kane Kanaloa water cycle that we'll discuss in a few minutes. After land and sea plants came the fish, birds, insects, and mammals. Collectively, these plants and animals filled the Aina and created the foundation for human life, which was the last to emerge. As the Muliloa, or the last born in this long line of life forms, we honor them all as kupuna, or ancestors, and we show our gratitude to them through respect and protection. I want to be clear here that we don't choose to stand up for the Ua'u and the Ahinahina, for example. Rather, as Kumuki Ope Raymond has put it, it's a familial obligation that we do so. This is also why the first rule is to take only what you need and no more. Hoarding is abhorrent and forbidden, as it's unsustainable and breaks the contract with our family of life. Our akua, our deities, also come from the pole. Other genealogies tell us of the unions of various akua and the birth of our islands. Wakea and Papa came together, and the first set of islands Papa birthed was Hawaii, Maui, and Kaho'olawe. This is part of the reason that Kaho'olawe is considered a kalana, or land area, belonging to the Honuaula district of Maui. Among the many gifts of the god Kane are sun and fresh water. In concert with Kanaloa, whose realm is the ocean, they are the water cycle. The abundant vai of East Maui activates the fertility of Papa in her many haumea forms, driving primary productivity on land and enabling the symphony of life that came to be on Haleakalā. These kupuna plants and animals arrived and evolved there for nearly 2 million years after Papa gave birth. This created what biologist Art Medeiros refers to as a lei, or garland of forest, that once went all the way around Haleakalā, comprising roughly 450 native species in habitats from rainforest to dry forest. Many of these species are endemic or found nowhere else in the world. The Ko'olau, or the eastern part of that lei of forest, is a 100,000-acre watershed that produces 60 billion gallons of water annually, on which we, the people, survive. It does this because we have protected it and limited the amount of human activity there. This is one of several reasons that the land from where the forest begins all the way to the summit is called the Vawakua, or the realm of the gods. This brings us to the summit itself, which is called the Pico, or navel. This is where Haleakala was connected to its mother, Papa. While the physical Pico was severed at birth, an energetic connection remains to Papa in her forms as Haumea. Haleakala, through its Pico, draws nourishment from Haumea and our celestial Ohana. And that Mauli, that life force, feeds the entire living, breathing mountain system. The symphony of life that we talked about earlier, which includes us as Kanaka, is nourished through this critical point of connection. In fact, when we go to the summit for special occasions or ceremonies and our Pico align with that Pico, we experience an especially profound connection to life force that is unique to that place. This is at the heart of why obstruction and development at the summit in particular is highly detrimental. Before we move from the Pico Pono'i, I want to talk a little bit more about the ali'i of the summit plants, the ahinahina, or Haleakala silversword. It is one of a group of 50 species in 3 endemic genera that all evolved from a single tarweed ancestor from North America. This rare and stunning example of adaptive radiation has drawn scientists from all over the world. I might add that the proposed project site is prime ahinahina habitat. So the Pico draws down this nourishment and feeds the ahinahina, the ua'u, and all the forms of life on the mountain. Amazingly, Haumea is found high above in the heat of the stars and deep below in the Earth's molten core. As above, so below. Haumea's daughter Pele is embodied in the most recent flows on our mountain, where molten rock once again broke the surface and formed new land. I just want to give a mahalo to my beautiful Anake Masako Cordray, who couldn't join us tonight, but she contributed these ki'i, these pictures that she took. There's also ki'i in this presentation from Kiahi Bustamante and his good friend, this brother whose name I'm forgetting. I'm so sorry. I go tell you after. I go look him up. And some ki'i from other places as well. Some folks tend to think of Pele's activity as confined to the Lua or crater portion of Haleakala National Park. But we have to break out of that fragmented mindset that is not in line with our cultural history. Pele's activity spreads across the whole kualono of Haleakala. From that Pico at Pu'u'ula'ula, she went northeast, creating the chain of pu'u that go down into the crater. Then she spread her holoku, or her gowns, all the way to the ocean in Kaupo. Folks from Kaupo trekked to the crater to deposit the Pico of their keiki in a specific place. And there are several sites in both the Lua and at the summit where bodies of loved ones were buried. Pele's activity also stretches southwest down the Kualono to Kanahau, Pu'umakua, Pu'umahoi, and down to the ocean at Pu'uola'i. I have not named all the pu'u in this chain because her activity is not confined just to that line. It stretches both north and south of it. All of the pu'u that Pele created are also considered sacred and were often accessed by kahuna. Entire hula traditions are devoted to the dances that honor this akua and her wondrous work across Haleakala. Much of the extent of her influence is within the Honua Ula and the Ahupua'a of Papa'anui, which goes from Oneloa in Makena all the way to Pohakupalaha on Kalapawili Ridge. While Pele was present on Haleakala, Poli'ahu, the goddess of snow and ice, visited as well. Just like at Mauna Kea, their clashes produced a very specific quality of basaltic stone, ala pa'a, from which our ancestors fashioned ko'i, or adzes. These were the primary tools behind the flourishing of material culture and innovation. The intimacy with which our kupuna knew every ki poli poli, every nook and cranny of this land, is best demonstrated by the thousands of place names that exist across our landscapes. Every single feature was named. The names of the pu'u and other landforms within the luapele tell us of the goddess's family and her movements. Mahalo to Kumuhula Pueopata for this beautiful graphic of all these place names. There's places in here that many of you will recognize. You have traveled to them. You have done different things there. So many sites that we could do a whole nother talk on just the just the luapele itself. Pele eventually went on to Hawaii Island, but the goddesses Lilinoi and Poliahu continued to shape the summit and the crater with their clouds, mist, rain, snow, and ice. Lilinoi is still with us today, casting her kihe of clouds around the mountain, feeding many areas with her fog drip, and helping to regulate temperatures on our mountain. I'd like to remind us that Pele is not a thing of the past. This akua is very much alive and well on Hawaii Island. This is her earlier this year on the right and earlier today on the left. Mahalo to Namahana Tolentino for these pictures, which I'm sure she wouldn't mind me taking off her Instagram. She's my friend, she's my friend. Haleakalā is even connected to the adjustment of the diurnal cycle. Maui snared the sun with coconut fiber ropes made from niu at Pailoko at the base of Mauna E'eka here. This illustrates the connection between the two mountains, which is also present in below ground water flows. I will leave you with one last story of how our mountain came to be. It was kindly shared with me by Kumuhula Pueopata. It comes out of the mo'olelo called Ku'aiali'i, and this is the very, very shortened version. In times long past, Honua'ula was a chief of the area of Maui by the same name. His grandson's name was Haleakala. The chiefess Lu'ukia was traveling through the islands and stopped in Honua'ula. Haleakala fell deep in love with her, but she would not have him. Devastated, Haleakala walked from Honua'ula to O'opuola at the boundary of Hamakualoa and Ko'olau. He died there. His bones were left in this place, and he became our beloved mountain. What I've shared this evening is just a fraction of the knowledge that exists about Haleakala, the kuahivi that is our ali'i, our malu, our life source, and the only home many of us will ever know. Its sacred summit is second to none, and telescopes do not belong there. We will forever stand in protection of this piko of nourishment and connection. Mahalo nui.
Mahalo nui, Hina. We have Le'ohu Ryder and Mikahala Helm here to present on behalf of Kilakila o Haleakalā. Thank you, my love.
Aloha mai Kako. It's truly an honor to be here with all of you and to bear witness to eons, infinite millennia of standing in aloha for our sacred land. Mikahala and I and Kathy and Rich and Maydeen EL over there, we are from Kilakila o Haleakalā. We want to honor those that came before us. Uncle Ed Lindsay, Kiope is unfortunately in another meeting this evening, so that's why y'all have us. Want to also honor Uncle Les Kuloloyo, Uncle Charlie Maxwell, they were, and Uncle Ed again, because they were the ones that kind of instilled and inspired us to come along for the journey of Kilakila o Haleakala in 2005, when it was announced that there was going to be a telescope, the ATST telescope, built on our sacred land. And the only motivation that we were inspired to stand up for Haleakala is simply put, that Haleakala is sacred. It is sacred. It is sacred. And that's what led us to the 20-year journey of standing and honoring and breathing this knowing from eons ago. I grabbed her because I needed her support. And she promised me, I said, you can come and say something if you wish. You want to say anything?
I thought we were just holding hands, moral support.
You can do that too.
But you all know, as Keiki, we grew up hearing and learning the songs for Maui, and guarantee we hear Kilakila o Haleakala. Guarantee. And then a little older, we're dancing, and our kumu is teaching us. And you know, when someone haku, the mele for Maui, what is included? Haleakala. Polole?
Yeah.
Yes. And so, as was mentioned by Hina, our kupuna taught us when they go down the ocean and gather, right? No, pick the small ones. And when my auntie asked, Tutu, Mama, what about this one? They're coming. And you think to yourself, who's coming? Kupuna, no. You only pick what you need. You leave for the others coming in the community, but they know they're leaving for the generations to come. And the same goes for why we love Haleakala. It is in our bones, it's in our body, it's in everything about us that we know we love Haleakala, we must protect Haleakala. And Uncle Les shared with us the wisdom of our kupuna, as far as why don't they just go up there any old time and do whatever they want? The vai, the water. You do anything on top, it's going to affect the vai down below. And we have come to that point. We have come to the point. We tried to protect and stop the ATST just for that very reason. Not just that reason, many reasons, but that was one of the important reasons, to protect our vai. Water is life. Our kupuna knew that. And so we stand strong. We all stand strong because we know no more. We cannot have any more spills, cannot have bringing any more pollution kind of materials that don't belong on our sacred mountain. Aloha.
Thank you, Maki. So I'm stand with me now. Okay, so, you all know the recap, but I'm just going to be, just kind of share. So in 2005, we organized Kilakila o Haleakala. And then in 2006, we went through the process of what we're going through, we've been doing the past couple months, the community input. And, we learned early on, because we overheard the scientists, it was like a real David and Goliath feeling to be forced into this 106 process, and to hear them just amongst themselves in the way that their stature was, the whole demeanor was, is just a formality. This attitude of, it's just a formality. And it felt very disingenuous to us who were there passionately, emotionally, spiritually expressing our love for Haleakala. And the powers that be sat there respectful, yes, and yet this feeling behind the scenes, it never quite felt like it was landing in aloha aina. It wasn't landing in pono-ness. It wasn't landing in a space where the pu'uvai was actually listening to our humanity as indigenous to these islands and indigenous to our honua. And when we started, we had the Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation involved. And thank God, we were filing suits. We're not lawyers, but we knew we had to do something to protect Haleakala. And unfortunately, the powers that be, I got all these notes, but we won, what did we win? Okay. Okay, we won two main issues before the Hawaii Supreme Court. We successfully argued that the State Board of Land and Natural Resources violated due process by approving a permit before holding a contested case hearing, and that the state failed to follow proper procedures for granting permits in a conservation district. But the bottom line is that telescope is up on the mountain, that ATST or the DK, it's up there. The Daniel Inouye telescope is up there. What we have learned is that kaumaha, that heaviness, shines light on the imbalance of protecting what is sacred. That imbalance that knows that we are continuously called to rise and shed light on the disharmony that exists across many, many lands. And this kaumaha continues every day in the ways that we look around our society, especially our Hawaiian community, those generational scars continue to exist, and yet what seeds in us is like the hina. We are still here under the moon. We are still here planted in this hallowed soil. And these seeds will continue to resist what has been placed upon the backs of our people and all life forms on these islands for generations. One of our prayers, has always been when we come and we offer our testimony, is we always have had to justify our indigenous existence in our own aina, justifying who we are as humanity, as people of the rainbow who simply want to live in aloha, caring for our community, caring for all life, feeding our people, clothing our people, sheltering our people, honoring Creator. And our hope has always been, and even when we were testifying to the many that sat across from us in the early beginnings with our Uncle Ed, Uncle Charlie, The prayer was, if you listen deeply to our testimony, will you touch the core of aloha, aloha akua, aloha aina, aloha ohana. Every testimony that we have heard from 20 years ago and will continue until we are in the heavenly realms and beyond will always honor aloha akua, aloha aina, and aloha ohana. In every testimony we, as these people, express. There is a motto that the Air Force says, aim high, fly, fight, win. Their core values that guide and conduct their missions. Integrity first. Service before self. Excellence in all we do. This sounds like us. And yet, when I read and when I feel into 7 telescopes on our hallowed Haleakalā, service before self should be switched to self before service. Integrity first, I would question. The indigenous trauma that all indigenous people and people all across the board, we know what this harm does. We see it from generation to generation to generation. But that is not our pain. That is our freedom. That is our sovereignty, because we know that aloha will always rise against any kind of darkness and harm upon our precious landscape and culture.
Ew.
Our sacred kuleana, la'a, sacred, ma'a, to be accustomed, pa'a, to be firm, and to be ha'a, to be humble. This I ask for the Air Force. Another question, what is expected of us at this time? As people, as humanity, of people that love our land, that has withstood and are still resilient. What is expected of us at this time, and in what ways do we carry the highest good in this situation? That is my question to myself. How do I remain in alignment and respect and aloha, honoring this beautiful, sacred place of Haleakalā in this moment where harm wants to come and destroy our beloved temple? So we share the ha'aha'a of our pu'uvai from where we gather in this now moment, a moment aligned in the antiquity of all that has birthed us before, when the guardians of aloha placed the kuleana, the sacredness upon our knowing of life. Once again, we find ourselves in the foray of the crossroads, beckoning us into a deeper understanding of what it means to be in service to all, service leadership. As beings of light, carrying forth the joy and aloha and wisdom. Aloha is joy of wisdom. We hearken all that aloha is, one's only purpose for being. For aloha is key to unity of breath and honesty to all life in the universe. Haleakalā is sacred, its purpose is sacred, its consciousness is sacred, its gift is sacred, for Haleakalā is our mother and we are her children. Until you can taste the wind, until you can see the face of your ancestors, your kupuna in the clouds, until you can toil in the fragrance of the lepo, the soil, until you can feel the warmth that caresses your soul, You will never be able to speak to the angels that inhabit what is sacred, righteous, truthful, loving, and kind for the future generations of all that is on our beloved Honua, and in particular, Maui Nui a Kama Haleakala. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui loa ia olua. I'd like to call up Kalekoa Ka'eo to give us a little bit of the Kako o Haleakala mo'olelo.
E to hopo atani e ia ta mauliola. E ola hoi o mauliola. E ola ia oe tani tumelono oia. Ho oia e ola. O ke kane hua vai. A kua ke nā o kalina ka vai. O uruai. O ka huli ho ka wo o nua o paia i ke au au kamanapa. O he e au lolo tapo. O piha. O piha piha. O piha u piha piha e. Piha o te to'onua pa'ai kalani. O lewa te au. Ia kumuli po ka po. Po no. A mama ua no. Leila, velina me ke aloha. Aloha. A wau nei o Kalekoa. Ke ki papa no kia mokopuna nei o Maui. Ai ka malu o kia mauna ku Kilakila o Haleakalā. Ma leila no, hanau ia ne, hana ia no i ma kia mokopuni o Maui nei no leila. Aloha. So just to share, as you know, I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. And so, boss lady looking good over there. At me, so, anyway, part of Kako o Haleakala, and again, first of all, I'd like to really mahalo Kilakila o Haleakala, you know, Uncle Les, Uncle Charlie. You know, I was fortunate. I was a younger man back then, decades ago, and I used to kind of follow along. I think Diggy probably was a little boy back then and stuff. And, you know, I just appreciate and honor them in their work that we continue on today, and we will continue on and on and on forever. So on behalf of Kako Haleakala, just a real quick presentation to add to what's already been shared. And like I said, I'll be as quick as possible. But first of all, we got to locate, you know, part of the struggle that we've been involved in, especially Kako Haleakala, has been really in relationships, undertales, and working along with other organizations. You know, as the great George Helm had said also, more organizations, more better, even better. We should make more and more and more. And just to remember, this is not about whether or not the U.S. military are going to be good neighbors and stewards. We already know their record. See, we got to be akamai, not put our heads in the sand and just simply accept. We must continue to speak for what is good, what is just, and what is right, especially for the aina that we live on, so that the future generations will have a healthy and beautiful Hawaii for them to pass on to the further generations down the line. And we know the history of Kaho'olawe. And in fact, let me just start off by saying, when we talk about that aina up on Haleakala, specifically that aina, Papapa, that comes down from Honuaula to the top of Haleakala, where so-called Science City now sits, those lands are no different in the granting of title from those lands, from the Mahere that became Hawaiian government lands than Kaho'olawe. So when you see this struggle here for the land, Hawaiian land, like Kaho'olawe, same struggle, same military, this is no different. So if you stand in support and solidarity and speak strongly for the benefits of protecting Kaho'olawe, well, you should be standing strong in support for what's going on in Haleakalā. So the U.S. military, we know, has polluted, destroyed this land for far too long with places like Kaho'olawe, which even to this day has yet to be cleared and cleaned in totality. And let me also add, they never do any cleaning of the ocean right around Kaho'olawe either. Red Hill, yeah, Kapukaki. Here's the U.S. Navy who lied, purposely lied, and continues to lie to this day over the poisoning. And let's be clear, this is poisoning of our water. Water, kawaiola, that which gives us life. That is the most sacred. In fact, if you're confused about sacred, as I was taught, that which gave us life was most highly protected and became the most sacred. That's why those places were set aside. Because if you cannot treat those most special places sacred, and you cannot protect those places, that means you cannot protect anywhere on these islands, you see. We can talk Makua Valley, 11,000 acres of our lands. Again, what kind of lands? Hawaiian government lands, just like Haleakala, just like Kaho'olawe, continuously to be abused and used by the U.S. military to this day. Pohakuloa, the largest live fire range in the whole Pacific. Whose lands? Our lands again. They pay us, wow. Well, they don't pay us, they pay Hawaiian homelands $1 a year to poison and destroy our lands. Think about the idiocy of that. We get paid $1. Thank you very much. And Pearl Harbor, of course, which one time had pearls. Which, by the way, we got to realize, when they talk about weapons of mass destruction, Kaleko, we got to go out. Where do you think the mass weapons of mass destruction exist? Pearl Harbor, they get radioactive materials that come in. They get nuclear submarines that come in. You want to talk about weapons of mass destruction? They're here in our lands. So this is what we got to understand. This is who we're dealing with. So it's not easy. It's a struggle. But you see, there's one thing that's more powerful than all the guns, all the radioactive bombs, all the dirty munitions that they have. And that's the truth. And that's the truth of Aloha Aina. That's what we have, and that's what we've inherited, and that's what we'll pass on forever. I gotta hurry up now, sorry. But some of the three main issues just to highlight, yeah, that this is going on. We gotta understand the context of what's going on here. That we know without a doubt Hawaii is an illegally, unlawfully occupied nation state since 1843, November 28. We know, and you can look up yourself. Go read Kemeic, K-M-E-I-C, who worked for the Department of Justice. In the 1980s, he did research under the Reagan administration. And he found out, and he basically says, read it for yourself, I don't know what constitutional power the United States expressed in taking Hawaii. Like he doesn't even know what legal means they took Hawaii, because it was not done legally. See, that's the point. And I've always said, if it was, show me the paper. Real simple. Because you can find evidence which is contrary to that. We can talk about the idea, well, I hate to use the word ceded lands, as I always say, non-ceded lands. They were ceded supposedly, lands were ceded supposedly by the Republic of Hawaii in 1898, and you should read the New Lands Resolution if you haven't yet. I'm a teacher, so I'm telling you guys what you got to read. New Lands Resolution, you should all read that. Analyze it. You should read the Organic Act of 1900, which specifically talks about the lands being transferred. And ask yourself, what exact lands were transferred? And this is basically what they say. All lands that belong to the Republic of Hawaii, I don't know what the hell lands they ever owned, are now transferred and ceded to the United States. That's it. And the question goes, well, what lands did they ever own? And how did they own those lands? And it also says, all citizens of the Republic of Hawaii, listen carefully, are now citizens of the United States. My kupuna were never citizens of the Republic of Hawaii, and I'm sure 99% of yours weren't either. So we got to know these facts. We got to be educated. This is me. I'm telling you, you got to know and read for yourself. Don't listen to me. Don't even listen. Don't even believe anything I tell you. You should know for yourself. And lastly, we got to understand, Haleakala is already overly abused and occupied by this military regime. It's an industrial area. They use industrial equipment. They use industrial toxic chemicals up on that summit. And you know, they cannot use those chemicals down here. And yet that has the highest level of conservation protections, supposedly. So what is the good use of all these laws to protect us from all these poisons, when yet the U.S. military is given these opportunities to not follow, you see? Some of the history. So yes, we have had Kako Haleakala specifically, and many of us here, Sitiaria and others here, who were involved in many of the actions that we ended up had to take, physical actions, to show the world. And then people ask, oh, Kareko, how would you stop those guys? And I always say, it wasn't about stopping them. Sure, we would hope to stop them, but it was about us guys showing the world. We will stand, kapu aloha, in our integrity with the truth, and we will speak the truth, and we will say, no, we don't give free, informed, prior consent to any of the military actions and poisons on Haleakala. And so the beauty is that people came from all over and all backgrounds, came and supported. And I think this is at the Maui Base Yard. I think we had 3, official actions. And I was very proud, especially of our young people, who showed and demonstrated our integrity, really, as people to stand for the truth. And also, again, in the second half, and this time you notice we were kind of right by Kekaulike High School, and this is because we were playing kind of cat and mouse with the police at that time, who actually hid their caravan of material that they were going to take up there. And so, as we told them, well, if you force us to hide, we get no choice but to go into a very dangerous place. That's not a great place to take kids and have protests, but we had no choice. I see Kahala, Maya here also, and some others. I know were there also that evening. But again, I've always said this, the day we get 1,000 people, I say this, the day we get 1,000 people there, we win. And I noticed they could barely handle us there. And we know what happened at Mauna Kea, where we had 1,000 people ready. You see, that's the thing, it's the commitment. See, that's right for me, I'm never afraid. Because I know the truth will empower. It's going to move the people to do what is right. And that's the point, to do what is pono and act pono and speak pono. Because we have nothing to hide, nothing to fear. Yeah, we speak the truth. And the struggles, as you can see, we were forced into doing direct action. Peaceful, non-violent direct action. Which we should be proud to do, to stand. And be united in action, besides united in thought. We should also tell, yes, we don't just protest. We participate in the situation, the consultations. I've been doing consultations for Haleakala for decades. And I always tell this story, and I apologize going longer. This is with the ATST and Craig Fultz. I'm going to name that again. Craig Fultz, as I told him. The head of the Solar Observatory, who met us in the library right up there. And I asked him, and I said, no, as a Hawaiian, I was asking him, what is the science up there? What's going on up there? And I told him, as a Hawaiian, I can bleed. If you're going to save lives, you're going to protect our other brothers and sisters in the South. Maybe we're doing something with the sun to go actually save people's lives. Yeah, I can sacrifice as a Kanaka. I can take some pain knowing I'm going to save some people out there. But I asked him, hey, what is the science? What are you guys going to do? This humanity. And I told him, as the great Gandhi had said, one of the 7 sins is science without humanity. So what is the humanity in this science? He turned to me and he just said, oh, it's just pure selfish research. So this is the mentality of these people. They do not see us as human beings. And I keep on, they don't see us as human beings. They don't see us as human beings. How much more do we have to say? How much more do we have to share? How much more do we have to demonstrate? Because they don't. And that's why for me it's more about us talking to you guys, everybody talking to each other. I don't look to them, to be honest, to go, oh yeah, man, you guys right, Kilakila. That place is sacred to Hawaiians. We got to protect it for you guys. Because they've never done that. They've never done that. They've never done that. It's always been the opposite. So let's not be foolish. Let's be akamai. Educate ourselves. Organize ourselves, and do what is right. Look at the amount of people that came out to testify. We just had, to me, the largest recent memory of testimonies at Pukalani that spoke out clearly. Many new young faces clearly understood the situation. And yet we're still in this situation today. 2 nights, a'ole, a'ole, a'ole. And we will continue to say it, a'ole, a'ole, a'ole. We will never give consent. See, that's an important critical element in this. They're going to try to find some Kanaka people, some Kanaka groups to go, hey, is it all right with you guys? And they go, oh yeah, you're going to give us some money for trust? Yeah, all right. That's the playbook, exactly. But you know what? We're still going to stand. Because I get faith in this young generation like I've never had faith before. I've seen what they say. I heard their voices. I know their hearts. And I will share this more. I remember when I went to, back 10 years ago, Mauna Kea. And I come strolling in the first day, you know, checking things out. And I remember telling my good friend Andre, I said, wow, I never seen any of these faces before. There's a whole new crew of voices. This is the power of Aloha Aina that's going. See, the U.S. military doesn't understand this. We have awakened. Our souls have been born again. And we're going to do whatever is necessary so the next generation and following generation is going to do. Sorry, I say talking too much again, but anyway. But anyway, even at Maui County Council, 9-0. The Tobago, you see, this is shut out. Not even close. What are they telling the people of Maui? This is what they're telling the people of Maui. Let's be honest. That's what they're telling us. We tell them 9-0, and they go, still not good enough for you guys. Oh, I'll go back, sorry. Anyway, mahalo nui au kua pau ka ai ani au ka olelo, but the key, educate to liberate, baby.
Kalamai, before we move on to the panel, I promised that I would acknowledge the photographer whose beautiful nighttime shots were in the presentation I gave. That was Marcus Rodrigues' pictures. And Marcus Rodrigues, Kiahi Bustamante, Masako Cordray, these are all deep, deep Aloha Aina. People who have given years of their life. They work on the land. They love the land. And they capture these amazing images so that we can also feel and see these places. So mahalo nui to them. And before I forget and the night goes on, what I shared this evening is just part of some of the resources that myself and other community members are developing. So if you are ono to learn more about that, we will be putting together resources and disseminating them. So please go to protecthaleakala.com, sign up for our email list, and when these resources are prepared, we will disseminate them out and share them with you guys. Mahalo.
I'd like to thank our presenters. I think they give a very good picture picture of the different perspectives, that the way that Hawaiians stand in aloha aina and in protection of Haleakala. So mahalo nui again to all our presenters. And I'm going to ask them to come to the stage, to sit on the stage for the panel. I'm also going to invite the Air Force representatives forward, please. I'm going to stay over here and ask the question. Yeah.
Hello.
Again, we invite folks to make some mea ai while we go through our presentation. And you can also provide video testimony in the back.
Oh, I can see. I'll just go. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I am going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves using that microphone. Okay. Please go ahead in the back, to the back room and record your testimony if you have not done so already. We are planning to present this to the Air Force as part of our protest in protection of Haleakala.
Mahalo. You can hear me.
Sorry, we're not trying to move away from you. It's just this beam of projection here is. So yeah, feel free to move around if you don't like the thing shining in your face.
Aloha. Hiki ke lohe? Is this on?
I hear you, yes. It might need to come up just a little, I don't know. Because we over here, because the thing is
Aloha, mai
shining in
Kako.
our face up there.
My name is Noi Kalipi, and I was with many of you at our public EIS meetings. So I want to thank you all for coming. I have a different role in response to what is different about the military, in that
Kalamai, the folks in the back, could you please just lower your voices a little bit? We definitely want to hear what our Ho'apaio here have to say. Mahalo.
Mahalo. So my name is Noi, and my role here is that what is different from before of the many years is that the Department of War now, what was previous, when I said I would do this, it was the Department of Defense, created an office as a part of the Pentagon called the Hawaii Coordination Cell. Because in listening to everything, in hearing the narrative, they wanted to create an office that would report directly to the Assistant Secretary of Energy Installations and Environment, as opposed to being out here in Hawaii and having to let the message go through the hundreds of people that get there. But they created this office that I am a part of to communicate directly with community, with Hawaii residents, and report straight back up to the key decision makers within the Office of the Secretary of War. So that is the role that I have in leading this office. It's brand new. And I will honestly tell you, half my job is I like this part. I understand this part. talking with everybody. I've known and worked with many of you and had the privilege of knowing Uncle Charlie and Uncle Ed as well. The hard part of my job is when I go back to the Pentagon and I have to explain all of this mana'o and translate it in ways to help them understand. And it is in that spirit that we are all here today. And really, thank you. I've been asking, how do we do a community meeting where we're not, and this, the attorney in me has to tell you this is not an official EIS, but the EIS is a statutory requirement that says if you're gonna do a project, you gotta say the biggest footprint, the highest you would go, and all the negative things you would have. That's that process. In this process, which I hope that we are in, it's to talk about, okay, that's the range of, this is the biggest and most impact if they did this. And then we clearly hear where people are tonight, which is we want you to do nothing, right? And there's a range in between that we can talk about in terms of mission and what is there. And it is in that spirit that we come to answer questions and talk story. So I just wanted to share that because this is different in that that's the difference in the role that we have. And definitely understand the history and the pattern of the department. And with that, I want to ask Doug to introduce himself.
Thank you, Noe. Hi, I'm Doug Thorne. I'm the commander here at the 15th Space Surveillance Squadron. I want to thank you for this opportunity to continue the dialogue that we've been having after the town halls. I hope it doesn't end after this and we can continue after this. I brought several members of my squadron here with me today. In full honesty, we decided to wear civilian clothes today because we understand sometimes when we wear our uniform, it creates a barrier when we communicate with the community. So we wanted to make sure we didn't have that for here today. So next I'll allow the other members of my squadron to introduce themselves.
Aloha. My name is Major Ayla Reed. I work in the squadron. I'm the chief engineer at the Maui High Performance Computing Center. Thank you very much for allowing us to be here today and to converse with you all.
Hi everybody, Richard Chong. I usually hide in the back, but I'm one of the senior civilians with the Space Force. I support the colonel here. From Hilo, proud Hilo boy. Went to the better school than somebody else over here. A lot of you guys know me. One thing you might not know is I think I was the second local boy that the military.
Brother, can you move the mic more close to your mouth?
Oh.
Sorry, I cannot hear you.
I was the second one that they brought home to come back home. And since 2009, we've always had presence here. I mean, Hilo, of course, not Maui, but Molokai, Kihei, upcountry, Wailuku, but throughout, and a lot of Oahu and stuff, but a lot of us that do serve, and a lot of us that do come home and have the opportunity to work here, right home, it's very special, and we've tried to keep that going since 2009. Actually, you know what, before that, since 2000 and something. Some of you guys know Coach, retired Senior Master Sergeant. I'm not going to say his name, but he's been here way before me. So, thank you.
Okay, find the sweet spot on the mic, yeah, because we want to hear you. Don't be afraid.
Hey, good evening. I'm Major Ray Molina. I am the Mission Assurance Flight Commander for the 15th Space Surveillance Squadron. Essentially, I just do all the support needed for the mission here. I'm from Kihei. Thank you.
Kihei.
Aloha everyone. My name is Cody Felipe. I am from Pukalani, Maui. At least my role here, I'm not in the squadron, but I've been in the places that in Hawaii, the Space Forces units, specifically 15 SPSS, Kaena Point, and now at Space Forces Indo-Pac, Indo-Pacific, supporting the 15 SPSS in that role. So Mahalo for letting me be here and appreciate it.
Try that one.
Aloha, everyone. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I thought that might be better.
That's all I had to share. Thank you.
Okay, so we have some questions that we've presented, and we have our folks here who will ask follow-up questions or ask for clarification. So our first question is, what specific expanded military capabilities would the Amos Star Telescope provide, and would those capabilities increase Hawaii's strategic value as a military asset and therefore its vulnerability as a target in war, since we are at war in a number of places around the world? So.
Thank you. So first I want to address Hawaii being a vulnerability as a target of war. So the heart of this question, I understand the fear in a military presence that can make a location a target, and we take that seriously. It's important to clarify our site's mission. We're not here about directing weapons. Our purpose is to watch and protect objects in space. This capability serves as a power deterrent across the world, making conflict less likely to extend in space. By ensuring the stability of the space environment, we protect global systems essential for economic and social stability for all nations. We believe this defensive mission contributes more to the safety of Hawaii by deterring conflict than it does creating risk. Now, to address the specific expanded military capabilities, first I want to go over real quickly what we do on the summit. So our sensors provide what we call space domain awareness. I relate this to how the FAA tracks all the aircraft that traverses the sky, and they want to make sure they know where every aircraft is, where it's going, and make sure they have a full scope of what's going on in the sky. We provide that same picture for the Space Force. We collect data and information to find and track and characterize satellites so that we have a better idea of what's going on and we can protect our crucial space infrastructure. We do this not just for military satellites, but also for commercial and civil space. In fact, we are currently planning on how we can support NASA's next manned space flight around the moon, Artemis 2, next month. With the current set of sensors that we have on the summit, they are fully utilized both in time and in their current capabilities. Also, we have fully utilized the real estate that has been afforded us at this point. Consequentially, space has become a contested and congested domain, contested with the new on-orbit threats that our adversaries are putting into space, and contested by the pure number of space objects to track and characterize. Over a decade ago, we had only a few thousand objects to track in space, but now today, we have almost 50,000 objects to track. To be able to maintain with this growing pace of demand, we need to be able to provide the following systems. So of the 7 telescopes, a couple of them will be there to provide testing and range safety for on-orbit satellites.
Sorry, could you say that one more time? Testing and?
Range safety for on-orbit satellites.
On orbit?
Satellites on orbit.
Okay, sorry, I missed that part.
That's fine. A couple of sensors to get after the problem of our adversaries trying to hide from us on orbit. Another sensor to figure out how to extend sensor operations into daytime. A laser communication ground terminal, so basically a satellite using laser light to communicate with the ground to meet the rising space communication demands for the new on-orbit systems. And a LiDAR system, basically a radar that uses laser light as its signal to be able to track satellites with high accuracy, not just in 2-dimensional space, but to add range for a 3rd dimension. And all of this is in the EIS.
I have a follow-up question for the thing about satellites, tracking satellites specifically. What I understand at the moment is that a lot of satellites that are being put up, a lot of them are used for surveillance. So if a satellite comes into a space, and you guys can see from the telescope that it's not a friendly satellite, would any of the things that you want to put up then want to take that satellite down, shoot it out of space, interrupt it, anything like that? Like if you, because you're going to be tracking all of these objects, so many objects, right? The ones that are not friendly, will you be doing things to them from there? Would you be?
From Haleakala?
Using these telescopes?
No. We're a surveillance squadron that provides surveillance
So what
space.
happens then when you find something that in the sky that is not a friendly object that you categorize? If you were to have a telescope up there that is tracking these objects and you pick up on some objects that you didn't like, what happens then?
So we have our command chains where we report our findings, and then they communicate with other satellite operators, and they perform whatever they think they need to do for the health and safety of their own space vehicles.
Okay, so say they wanted to remove that satellite from the space. That would not happen from Haleakalā. You would give the information to somebody else, and they would be involved in removing that satellite from the near Earth orbit.
Yes. We're a space surveillance squadron. We just collect data and information, and then we report it up through our command chains.
Okay, thank you. Any other question?
Just to follow up on that, I'm hearing you say that they would not shoot from Haleakala. Is that what you said?
No.
Okay, but how about Kihei?
No.
Are there any lasers or things that they be coordinating and?
No, ma'am. Nothing here on island.
Just a quick follow-up question. So, the actual military strike may not come from Haleakala or Kihei, but may I ask this question? Can that information be used in military exercises, actual military events in other parts of the world? In other words, I'm as an indigenous native Kanaka of this land, I am very concerned that that information will be used upon other so-called native peoples like indigenous Palestinians in Gaza. So I'm just concerned, and I'm wondering, so I know you're saying as if your hands are clean here, so I'm just wondering, can you say that the information will not be used against indigenous peoples around the world in a military campaign?
So I think the information that we collect and provide our senior leaders is critical, so that way they can make the most informed decision that they can to protect our national security here.
Let me ask my question again one more time. Let me ask this question, I'll be clear about this. Can this information gathered in surveillance that you propose on Haleakala with this new Amos 6 telescopes, can it be used? I mean, you may not know how to, but can it be used by the U.S. military specifically against native peoples and indigenous peoples around the world, such as the Palestinian native peoples of Gaza?
Dick Chong. I will be honest and I will say I do not know that answer. Okay? We will provide that information, that early warning, that cue to the other parts. Our mission set, again, space domain awareness. We maintain custody, we do characterization. Good guy, not good guy, I don't know. That guy just showed up and we have no idea. We need to figure out what that is. Why is that guy moving next to our guy? And then something goes boop like this and goes chook, chook, chook like that. It's like, that's bad. So we don't, I cannot answer, and I don't think any of us here can answer that. But we will provide as much data as possible to the Air and Space Force and all of Department of War so we can provide the best capability to protect the people of this nation.
Can I ask, how many other outfits are there like this in the Space Force? Are there other outfits in other parts of the world that already do what you guys are talking about?
Space surveillance?
Yeah, the things that you just described that
Yeah.
you would want to do at Haleakala, are there other people already doing those in other parts of the world?
So we fall under Mission Delta 2 that owns the whole space domain awareness mission set for the Space Force. There are only 2 space surveillance squadrons. We are one of them. The other is the 20th. They primarily own and run the radar systems that can also do tracking. So they can provide a different set of capability for tracking satellites with radars, whereas we use electro-optical systems, the telescopes, in order to do the tracking. And together they provide a better full picture for the Space Force as far as what's on the orbit, because the different ones have different capabilities.
Thank you for clarifying, because I do, like Kaleko, I share concerns. You know, what's happening in Iran right now, even though they're not, you know, a lot of the places that are doing exactly what you're talking about, they are getting hit because they have surveillance capability, because they are watching, right? And when a war happens, the adversaries want to take out the ability of whoever, you know, is their opponent to be able to see, to be able to track. So again, it's hard for me to think that it doesn't pose a vulnerability. Okay, probably we got to go to question 2.
Yeah. We're going to move on to question 2. And this has to do with the fact that I think the military, I mean, it was the case with the DKIST, and I think it's the case here with Amos Starr, that they try to separate out all these projects, right? So how has the military evaluated the cumulative environmental impacts on the summit of Haleakala, resulting from decades of military activity, telescope development, academic use, road access, utility infrastructure, and public visitation, rather than limiting analysis only to the footprint of this single project, this little piece of the larger science city? What summit-wide protective measures are being planned to address the total burden already placed on this fragile environment and will be exacerbated with this additional project?
All right, I'll take this question. Yes, this works. Okay, so you guys have a lot of passion. I appreciate it. Coming here and learning about the passions between the 3 organizations actually is something I didn't know, even growing up from here, so thank you for that. A part of this process is us, the Space Force, is bounded by this framework. Regardless of what we think about, we are bounded by this framework, so we have to operate within the box given by the federal government. So the NEPA process, which includes the EIS, is a federally mandated process, as stated by Ms. Kalipi. The EIS does include analysis beyond its footprint. So page 3-3 analyzes combined effects. These combined effects analyze the incremental effect of a project in combination with past, present, and reasonably foreseeable future events. So we're looking at Department of the Air Force, Space Force, FAA, National Park Service, and UH. So it did look into not just us, but also expanding on just the single footprint of this project. So to address those 6 there, right, we're looking at the latter 4, academic use, road access, utility infrastructure, and public visitation. This one's really tough for the military to kind of own it, because it takes more than just us to address these issues. We have organizations, the NPS controls access to the summit. We have HECO providing us utilities, Hawaiian Telecom providing us the comms, the county, Hawaiian Tourism Authority also controlling the tourism, the public visitation up there. So that one is tough for us to own. But what I can speak on more clearly is the military activity and telescope development. So these two go hand in hand, as what my commander just mentioned, why we need a Space Force, and it's highlighted by the STAR project. To minimize impact, we're trying to use land authorized by Governor Quinn back in '57, right? Executive Order 1808. That is one way, not asking for additional land up there. Additionally, looking at the geopolitics and technological advances will be key factors in looking at the military activity and telescope development. So the military here, we have a duty towards national security. That's what we signed up for. We volunteered to do this. No one told us to do this. And as the world is now, there's a need for the STAR project. But no one knows what the world would look like in the future. We cannot for certain predict what our presence looks like on Haleakala 10, 50, 200, 1,000 years from now. Will space be more contested, more congested? Absolutely. Countries just like us are launching satellites into space for their security, for their people, for GPS, for communications. But does this necessarily mean it will be more or less adversarial? No one knows. And as for technology, as we look forward, will the quantity of telescopes overcome quality? Maybe. So we don't know if science will allow us to accomplish our mission on Haleakala with fewer but more advanced telescopes.
Sorry, this is slightly outside of this particular question, but you brought up HICO. And in looking at the document, which was really long, and we had a really short time to read it, so perhaps I missed it. It did give an estimated total carbon belching into the universe use of carbon for the building part and also for the normal operations annually. But it said nothing about, besides drawing from the actual local grid power that you need to run the facility, it didn't say what kind of load that is. So I'm wondering what kind of power load, and if you're required in this process at all to indicate how much energy you need from our local grid.
So we don't know the load that the 7 telescopes will pull because they haven't been designed yet. That's the answer to that.
Thank you for your honesty. Yes, Auntie, please.
You know, if it's in the report, I'm so sorry. But because you brought up about the time and technology parts, is there, we probably using it now, time to go home, 20 years, 25 years, we figure technology is going to keep increasing. So is there a time span that though you anticipate those telescopes have run of life until they're no good anymore?
Auntie, I hope so. And I hope it's sooner rather than later. I don't know the answer to that. But I would honestly, truly like to say, no need already. Let's take it back to how it was, sooner rather than later. But we're not there right now.
Sorry, and also, I know you referred to a certain section of the report where you said cumulative impacts are addressed. And how long is that section? Because in reading it, I didn't feel like I got a sense of anything with a lot of, that I could get a lot out of. There's a lot of like single paragraphs that just say, this is what we think, but I didn't get any sense of how you've evaluated we're asking about the cumulative impact, What more telescopes on the mountain we know that they're going to disrupt Oahu, but Oahu are disrupted already, so it isn't just the new project that we're worrying about, it's the increase on the already heavy load. So if you could just direct me back to that section, I'd like to reread that at some point.
Absolutely. Page 3-3 on the bottom.
3-3. 3-3, okay. I'll have another look at that.
Just to follow up on the ideas of cumulative environmental questions and damages. I use the word damage. What makes the Space Force's management plan so better or so much an improvement in comparison to what had happened at Kapukaki, Kaho'olawe, Pohakuloa? I mean, we can talk about the recent diesel spill recently. In other words, what makes you guys special in regards to saying you guys are better stewards? Because when I look back, the diesel spill has still yet to be resolved. And so I'm just wondering, you guys moving ahead, yet you guys never wipe your okole yet. Still stink back there, still smell. And you guys still trying to move ahead. So I want to know exactly what makes you guys special in regards to this management.
Nothing. I mean, in all honesty, it's learning how to do better, right? So to be clear, I would agree that there's more that needs to be added, that could be added for cumulative effect, right? Part of the problem, or not problem, part of the challenge is when you're meeting the statutory requirements and you haven't done it yet, right? You haven't designed it yet. And the requirement is to say, if you were gonna do it, what is the biggest it could be? What is the most impact it could be, right? There are areas that you have to answer, right? But this is all right? Because this is a before part of doing it. So, so to answer your question, there's a lot that has to be proven as to whether or not you can. I don't think anybody on this side is saying they're any better. There's personal commitment, there's putting best practices in place, there's learning and making sure we never do that again or do something like that. But, and then, to your question, it is very segmented how it's explained, right? So the comments, when you do submit the official comments to the EIS, saying we would like a more comprehensive, right, is something they would have to respond to in the final.
Excuse me, I just wanted to clarify to see if I understood what you said. Did you say that you don't know how much electricity you would need to run the 7 telescopes? Did I hear you correctly?
That's correct.
Because
And see if I could add a little bit on that. There is preliminary expectations that's based on this idea of what is the absolute worst footprint that could be expected with these small sensors. That is what most of the analysis in the EIS is based on. There are some estimates for what kind of load would be expected on the infrastructure, not just the power grid, but the roads, other aspects of the expected effects that this project proposed action might have. So those numbers and the analysis is based on what could possibly be worse. But that's not to say that we know exactly what the design is going to require. That's just to say that's what the worst would look like.
And I feel that that's what's so faulty, that how can you project the consequences to our community and to our island without even knowing for sure. Thanks.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like saying, okay, let's see the ultimate damage we can do and then scale back from there. That's really hard to hear. Just to be honest. There's a question are we taking questions from the audience at this point? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Wait, sorry. Please save your question, and if we have time at the end, we'll come back to you.
And maybe you can write it down and bring it up, and then if we have time, we can address them. So question 3. Given that the summit still lacks a comprehensive management plan, why is the Air Force treating this as an isolated federal review under NEPA instead of first addressing the larger failure to establish clear limits, protections, and accountability for all existing and future uses of Haleakala?
So I think this question builds off of the previous question. And I would add to the response earlier about which page number. The section is 3.1.4, and that's the introduction for what combined effects analysis looks like. That's not comprehensive or cumulative, but it is combined, and it ensures that the incremental environmental, cultural, and visual effects of the proposed action are evaluated in combination with past, present, and reasonably foreseeable future actions of all the organizations that operate in the area regardless of jurisdiction. And then in the following pages in that section, for each of the resource areas, there is a specific explicit look at the combined effects of that particular resource area. So it is a little bit more disjointed as you go through that whole chapter. Establishing a comprehensive management plan for the whole summit is beyond the statutory authority of the Department of the Air Force and outside the scope of the proposed action. However, we see a huge amount of benefit for establishing that comprehensive management plan, and we want to work with all organizations and stakeholders who would be interested in contributing to that plan to see it through. We're committed and we want to do our part.
I haven't had a chance to look at it myself, but I hear there is already a community plan, like one community plan that was drafted. Have you guys looked at that plan?
Was that no, unless that was the old version, which was a very old. Is that the high altitude observatory plan from 2018? Because that's the last version that we have started with.
Yeah, I was asked to ask if you guys have seen that.
Yes.
I want to look at it. I want to see what our community thinks, because I'm also mistrustful of working with you guys on a master plan, to be totally honest. I think that Haleakala is so special that it actually deserves the highest protections. And the fact that we already have the Crater Summit District, or the Haleakala Crater District on the Register of the National Register of Historic Places, but its boundary stops just past Pu'u'ula'ula. For some reason, probably because of these executive orders, it doesn't include that area, but I actually think it should extend beyond that, far beyond that, to encompass the whole summit, at least down to Kanahau, because that kualono is really, really special to us. And so I think as a community, we'll be thinking more about what that means to us and what, and whether a comprehensive management plan is actually the best course of action or something else. But thank you for your honest answer. You mentioned that this DEIS looks at the impacts relative to other things, and one of the things that I found upsetting about that is that the DKIST has already been built. None of us wanted that built. These makua of ours have been resisting this for generations. And then this DEIS tries to say, well, the DKIST is already there, and so if these telescopes are going to be so much smaller, so it isn't a significant impact to the view planes because the DKIST is already there. But that's really disingenuous to make that be the way of evaluating. You know, it's like being in an abusive relationship and somebody says, you know, a woman is like, well, he knocked me out last week, so if he just slaps me tonight, it's not gonna be a problem. It's already a really big abuse. So to use that as your measuring stick about what else should and can be done is, again, really hard for us to take. And that's all the DEIS gives me. It doesn't give me anything better. You know, because when I stand up there to do ceremony, the DKIST is so imposing. And on the other side, where the other Ahu is, if there are 7 more telescopes there, that's gonna interrupt that space too. And even though they would be smaller than the DKIST, that doesn't matter. That shouldn't be the barometer or the measuring stick by which we evaluate whether or not it's impactful, which we already know it is. So, sorry, I just needed to say that because you brought up the view plane stuff. Any more questions on this question or comments before we move on?
So our next question has to do with the unsafe levels of arsenic. So your soil testing identified unsafe levels of arsenic. What guarantees can you provide that the hazardous materials will not contaminate soil or groundwater, and what binding, containment, monitoring, and emergency response measures would be in place? The oil spill, the fuel spill is in all of our minds, and the fact that there was no immediate response to that, and I think we can safely say until today, it has not been managed or taken care of. What are you going to do differently to make sure that this does not happen in this footprint?
So we acknowledge that in pages 3-47, 3-49, it shows levels of arsenic and other chemicals. In page 3-50, the Department of the Air Force, Space Force, will further define the extent of the impacted soil because it's just a sampling for the EIS. Further analysis will go into the soil and either conduct proper management of the soil to ensure long-term benefits so there's no impact to human health or the environment. So that's the piece of the EIS talking about the current situation on the site. With respect to binding measures, so like I said, we operate in this framework of the federal government. There are a myriad of binding federal and state regulations that we must abide to. So the agency that we must follow is the Environmental Protection Agency, establishing all the regulatory acts and plans and codes and laws that we must follow. And additionally, Hawaii has it as well under the HARs. Looking at the future, we will have to develop a plan for containment, just as how we're doing with the fuel spill right now. And I can expand on the current fuel spill status if you would like a status as well.
We would love to know more about the status of that.
Okay. January 2023, spilled, and then the current system, the bioventing system, did not get in place until July 2025. So we're looking at a year and a half? A year and a half of stagnant before we put a system. There's a reason behind that. We consulted with our cultural advisors, and we took the least invasive approach into remediating the fix. So we did not remove any soil from the summit. Everything is in place. So how the system works is we're drawing the oxygen inherent to the summit into the wells that are there. the wells feed microorganisms that also are inherent in the ground. That kind of juices them up to eat at the diesel. So that is the theory behind the fuel spill.
So you're just airing it out, is what you're telling me?
So the air is to provide more oxygen for the bugs to
do their thing.
To activate them, correct. So they can start eating away at the diesel. So that is a strategy.
Thank you. You know, when we went through the process opposing the construction of the advanced ATST, Advanced Technology Solar Telescope, we discussed these toxic materials and learned that they are used also, I think it's for cleaning the telescopes and all these kinds of things. And I thought in our discussions, it was said that these had to be transported down and taken off of Maui. Is that the process that is being followed? And is that the process that you're talking about also for these proposed 7 telescopes? The toxic materials that are used for whatever purposes, are they hauled off of Maui?
Andy, sorry, we're just talking. If we're talking the mirror recoating facility that's up there, or just it doesn't matter. It is everything that, if it is identified as hazardous, does follow the mandates that I think we have to abide by nationally. So it all comes down, comes down, but I honestly don't. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But it comes down and is taken off island per disposal purpose, the right disposal measures.
Okay, so,
I'm sorry, are you saying that all of the toxic materials that are utilized for whatever purposes for the telescopes are taken off Maui? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
it's okay if you don't know, you
That's
can
true.
just say.
Batteries are toxic, so yeah, I don't know the entire answer to that either.
Okay. To go back to the arsenic thing, what I thought I understood from the DEIS is that your guys' proposed strategy at the moment is a containment in place strategy in which you would take the affected soil and put it under 2 feet of clean fill. What if that's not good enough? Like, what arsenic affected soil that is just shoved deeper underground only to me says that it's headed faster towards the water table. I understand not removing the material from the summit, not taking the actual physical kino of Papa and throwing it away in some other place, yes. I think you guys have perhaps looked at cleaning it, cleaning it and putting it back, I don't know. But building 1010, that this arsenic and these other toxic chemicals are coming off of, that thing has been rotting up there for I don't know how long, maybe you can tell me. And is it in your plan to take down the building 1010 materials and take them off of Maui? Because that's the source of the arsenic, right?
Taking down or demoing building 1010 is an option on the table.
And what would happen to the results of the demolition, right? You have a pile of trash has arsenic and other toxic chemicals in it. What would happen to that trash? Because what I understand is that, maybe I have this wrong, but if you're moving toxic chemicals, then you have to start dealing with the EPA, which is why I'm assuming you actually wanted to just bury them there so that you don't have to move them and deal with the EPA. But if you're gonna demo a building, and like we don't want that in the landfill down here, right? I mean, it's hard for us to look at a DEIS, understand that there are these toxic chemicals, and not see any, solutions about how these materials are going to be dealt with, other than shoving them under. I mean, not the building stuff, but the affected soil, shoving that deeper. Nothing about the building. That's really hard.
So I think one of the key aspects of the plan is that further testing so that we understand how the extent of some of these toxic chemicals might be in the soil or in the building prior to doing any demolition or doing any removal of a material, so that we can apply and comply with the appropriate regulations. We're not trying to bypass any regulations. We are very committed to complying with the regulations that are set forth in OSHA and all of everything that the EPA directs us to do, so that we handle the material appropriately to keep people safe, but also to keep it from doing any further damage than it might have already done, to understand what damage might look like that we might be able to address. And I'm sorry, I don't know if the EIS specifically talks about a future situation where we understand what the extent is, then what? But I think we can definitely take that as feedback and start looking at what would we do then, right?
Mahalo. It would be great to know. Any more questions on the arsenic? Okay.
Okay. Given the long history of sustained Native Hawaiian and broader community resistance to military expansion and militarized development across Hawaii, from Kaho'olawe to Mauna Kea, Pohakuloa Training Area, Haleakalā, why does the military continue to advance projects in Hawaii in ways that many people experience as disregarding clear and repeated opposition from Native Hawaiians and the broader Hawaii community?
So I'm going to take this one because it's way bigger than Space Force. And that's why they created the Hawaii Coordination Cell, in answering the ways that people experience the proposals for projects and or land use or other things. We are trying to guide the department in how that is happening. I also don't want to, I wish I could tell everybody what they would like to hear, but I also feel that I gotta tell you the truth, right? And the truth is that the military for the foreseeable future is going to continue to be in Hawaii. And while it is in Hawaii, we have a duty to help them or help the military to improve the way it is managing and being responsible for the areas within its jurisdiction, right? So in answer to the question, there are continuing missions and threats that the military is responding to, and then there are statutory requirements that are not perfect, like the EIS, because I agree. The EIS process says, before you do anything, identify all the bad things that can happen, and then move from that, right? We need to improve the way we do processes, right? But in the bigger issue, as more people become educated, to your point earlier, and more people read the history, including the federal government and the decision makers and the government officials, there's a need to be able to address that as we continue to deal with the mission operation requirements, because the military's role fundamentally is to protect people in place. And we can absolutely disagree and do not have the best record for protecting place in the way that we look at Aloha Aina. With that being said, as we continue that, the best we can do is to be as transparent and improve the processes, continue to communicate, and engage in dialogue, not consultation, right? Because I hear you loud and clear. Consult has been interpreted as, this is what we're gonna do. We just like tell you, okay? You know, dialogue that can inform designs and decisions. And I know that's not the popular or the what people want to hear, but that's the honest truth.
Okay, so I'll kind of just add to this, just bottom line for me. Historically, the U.S. military has not at all secured any consent, free, informed consent from so-called Native Hawaiians, Hawaiian Kingdom subjects, in the encroachment and the destruction of our island. So my question, real simply, will Space Force move forward and desecrate Haleakalā without the express consent, free and informed, from Native Hawaiians?
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. Do they, under the federal framework, which I understand not everybody here agrees with, given the history and everything, do they have the federal authority to be able to move forward? Yes. Will they? I honestly don't know. In the discussions that we've been having, right? I don't know.
Because I think for me it's just important to understand, this is going back to the question of consultation. I mean, you just witnessed dozens and dozens and hundreds of people throughout the past years, Native Hawaiians and our community at large, testify in public against the military industrialization of our Mauna. And so we've gotten used to the sense of consultation being, you come, you testify, and the military is going to do what they want to do anyway, including pollute and not clean up their pollution. So again, that's why for me, I think that's the bottom line. So we know exactly what we're talking about, which is you will do what you're going to do anyway without the consent. So when a woman is forced to perform sexual acts without consent, you see, we understand that kind of pain. Because we've been saying for far too long, no, 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 no. And yet, this is why I make the comment, you do not see us as human beings. And so that's my next question. Are Native Hawaiians, human beings on this planet, deserving of human rights?
Yes. Right? I mean, yes. Right? There's no but. Are you humans? Are we humans as a Native Hawaiian deserving of human rights? Yes. We're all, yes.
So all humans have history?
Yes.
All humans have language? All humans have sacred spaces that they protect, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So you recognize that we do?
Yes.
Yes, but you, by choice, refuse to acknowledge and protect those things, which is our rights. That's my question.
And I don't think it's binary. I don't think it's yes or no. And that's where we may agree to disagree, but I don't think it's yes or no. Yeah, it's not that simple.
Before we're going to move to the next question, but just on that thing of protecting people in place, I know you say that that's the mission of the military, but we can already see right in this very moment that that's not what's happening. That the military is constantly putting us in danger. America, I don't particularly consider us a part of America, but we are occupied and so we are dragged in. But America is being put in a very, very dangerous situation right now. And I think most of the public is not in favor of that. And so I know you say that it's to protect people in place, but that's not what we are seeing. Okay, is this our
last question? What alternatives did the Air Force seriously consider that would reduce or eliminate further construction on Haleakala? And why should the community believe this project is necessary when the real alternative is simply no further expansion of the military footprint on Maui?
I think to even make that clearer, we didn't find in the DEIS, like there was like a paragraph that I read, I think, but no, like we went to such and such a site, it exists at this elevation. This, you know, these are the reasons why it's not whatever. Like maybe I missed it again, but I didn't see any rigorous analysis of alternative sites.
So first, I think I'll start off with explaining the value that Haleakala provides us. And you may already know this, and I apologize.
I do. And so I would like to keep it to like the other sites, because we don't need to be convinced about our mountain. We know it's the best thing ever. What about the other places?
Right. So Haleakala is the best, has the best nighttime, or the third best nighttime viewing in the world. The first best is Mauna Kea. We did look at Mauna Kea, however...
Again, these are not even, what I'm saying is we don't want to talk about our mountain or Mauna Kea. We want to talk about other places outside Hawaii. Where else have you really done a deep analysis of other sites? Because, I ask this because this is not the DKIS staring at the sun. This is not supposedly not telescopes that are looking way deep into space. If you're tracking near Earth orbit objects, I would think you could do that from a whole bunch of other places that you do not need to be up here. So I would like to hear more about the alternative sites analysis.
So the value that Haleakala provides
Does
is like
that
an
mean you
order
don't
of
have an
magnitude
answer?
everywhere.
I don't want to hear about Haleakala, brother. I'm sorry to stop you. I'm not trying to disrespect you, but I really, please don't tell me about Haleakala. Tell me about another place that you have actually deeply considered. And if there is no place, you can just say we haven't. It's okay to say that.
No, I guess what I'm trying to say is when we go to sea level, it is an order of magnitude worse for seeing.
But there's a lot of other places that are not at sea level in the world.
Right, but then there's the
I mean, my
the
husband
weather
put
and
together a
stuff.
whole list of alternative sites. Did you actually really look at them?
Yes.
Okay, well then how come there wasn't detailed information in the DEIS about that? Because it leaves us to go, wow, they never even look anywhere else.
I cannot answer that part. I do know that you cannot replicate what is here. In the middle of the Pacific with the trade winds.
I know. We know.
Everybody knows. And I'm not talking from a cultural perspective. I'm talking from, and these guys have the PhDs. I don't have one. But at 10,000 feet, with the viewing conditions that we have, and the inversion layer at 6,000 to 7,000 feet that tamps down all the particulates, you know, in the air and everything else. So when you're looking in the highway or a hot road and you see the shimmer, up there you don't have one. We have a picture inside the lobby that shows the difference of what you can see at sea level, whether it's here or pretty much anywhere else in the world, and what you can see at Haleakala. You put your thumb up on the sun, down in Kihei or down here, whatever, and you can see the big halo going around your thumb. Promise to do that next time. Okay, just go like this and you can see the big like halo all around.
We understand that it's the clearest, most beautiful air.
And there's no other place that we can replicate that type
There's no other place you can replicate, so you haven't looked deeply at any other places.
There's Chile and Mauna Kea. Those are the two.
And does this mean that like you like, share with me what you've discovered about Chile. What?
It's not accessible to.
But it is up here. This is accessible. Because the very reasons that you are saying that this is the best place, right? It's the exact, it's like looking at a mirror. That is why, that is why it's sacred to us. We understand that already. We know that.
And I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
I
But
don't.
thank you for making, I just want to, for the record, the answer is no, there are not detailed analyses of other sites at this time, at this current time.
I would defer that answer to someone smarter than me. Yes.
Okay, are any of you guys qualified to answer that question? Okay, that's an I don't know. That's great. That's all I need. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other mana'o on that question? Okay. Do we have to wrap it up? Do we have time for
Hina, sorry.
anything else? Yes.
So you're looking for the detailed analysis, but there is no detailed analysis in the EIS. Sites in CONUS or the continental United States were included in the mission analysis, but there were reasons, and some of them are listed in the EIS. I don't remember what section, but I can go look after this and follow up with you so you can review it as well. In those sections, it doesn't explicitly talk about all of the places in CONUS that were considered, but it does talk about some of the conclusions of the consideration of those locations. So I will follow up with you afterwards and try to point that out.
Mahalo.
Okay.
Oya ihola. Okay. Mahalo nui ya oko kapane ana mai ina ninau amako. Thank you for answering our questions. That does not happen in these other consultations the way that they are set up. So we appreciate that you actually came to engage with us on our terms here tonight. Yeah, so thank you for that.
And thank you. And I just want to say thank you very much, because this is the type of engagement we want to. We don't want to only engage in statutory requirements like environmental impact statements where we have time limits and cannot kuka, right? So we would like to do more of these, and we are trying to do more of them across the state. So thank you very much.
Mahalo.
And I would also like to say that we hope that this, I know I heard you mention that this is not an official sort of meeting, but please know that we expect our comments and our questions to be considered officially, or this would just be a waste of all of our times. And I think, again, we appreciate your engagement in this, uncomfortable, but really important dialogue. And I think what it did for at least me is to, some of your honest answers, we know this. We know you're not really considering other places. We know you don't know certain things. We know that we're trapped in a consultation process that is not built for us to win. But like somebody said earlier, we will continue and we'll always continue to stand in protection and aloha aina of our place. Even though the game is set up against us, we're a little bit used to that, but we appreciate you saying the truth. Because we know that's the truth. So, we're in this place.
The honesty is appreciated. Yeah,
Yes,
for
the
sure.
honesty is appreciated.
And also, the Air Force has actually extended the commentary period another 45 days, is that correct? 30 days. That is not the amount of time that we asked for in our petition, which we'll still be filing with you guys. So there is a petition at protecthaleakala.com to actually extend the comment period all the way to, I think it's June 15th or July 15th. I have had so many things on my mind, I must check. But it extends the comment period quite a bit longer than what's been given. And so we would like to file that petition before the comment period closes. So please sign it if you can. Also sign the petition that's there against the extension of leases come 2030, 2031. And mahalo nui, yeah, leases, right? Because leases that actually the legislature could revoke if they wanted to. I mean, this is all, there's so much to talk about. But thank you to each and every one of you for coming out this evening. And oh yes, we have one or two more little things before we close. So
we want to invite Oral Order up to present their testimony to the Air Force before we call up Kulama to do our closing.
Aloha mai.
I'm the Kako of our chapter here on Maui. This is a letter from our ali'i, Li'ai Moku. On behalf of our Li'ai Moku, Ali Sir Kabika Kamai, and the Royal Order of Kamehameha I, Moko o Kahikini Duyahu Manu Helu Eha, we formally oppose the proposed construction of 7 Amos Star telescopes under military leadership on Haleakalā, as well as any further development on Haleakalā. Haleakalā is a sacred and culturally significant site to the native Hawaiian people. Its summit is not a military asset, nor an industrial complex. Continued expansion and militarization represent ongoing desecration of a place of profound spiritual, ancestral, and cultural importance. We call for an immediate halt to this project and to any additional development on Haleakalā. The protection and preservation of this sacred mountain must take precedence over all future construction and military interests. We remain steadfast in our duty to defend and safeguard Haleakalā for present and future generations. Mahalo.
Mahalo pia ia oko.
Velina mai ke aloha. Please, let's all stand. As we end this evening, as we have all joined together here tonight with our deepest essence of aloha, please take every ike, take our prayers. And we close this evening with prayer, everyone here in the room. Allow light frequency to go through you. Allow the resonance of our deepest sound and vibration that is only filled with aloha. Moi pono, kako apau. Keapo. Ah. E ka hopo kāne, e ia ka mauli ola. E ola hoi, o mauli ola. E ola ia o e kāne, kanaloa e kume lono. O ia, ho o ia, e ola. E ka hopo kāne, e ia ka mauli ola. E ola hoi, o mauli ola. E ola ia o e kāne, kanaloa e kume lono. O ia, ho o ia, e ola. E ka hopo kāne, e ia ka mauli ola. E ola hoi, o mauli ola. E ola ia o e kāne, kanaloa e kume lono. O ia, ho o ia, e ola. E nā au mākua mai kala hiki a kala kau. Mai ka pai luna i ta pai lalo. Mai he la ki ia he ia ki. Nā au mākua i ka pō. Nā au mākua i ke au. Nā au mākua a pauloa i ka pō pale. I ka pō pano pano. A puka i ke au e. A e ho mai he i ke. A e ho mai he lo anui. A ka pula pula e noho nei ke au nei e. A mama ua no ai. E kanalo a ke a kua o ka he e. He ia ka umai, he ia ka umai. Ka pula pula ihi ka palau maewa. O ka luai, o ka luai. E ka ne kanalo ana kua o ka vai. O ta vai puna, o ta vai he e, o ta vai ola. E ia ka o kou mai. Ka pula pula hanala o ka luai. Ka uola ia i ka vai. He mai ho o moe i ai. O ka he e pala. E ia ke kao he la u o tawai. He la mano ka he e mahola. He la mano ka he e palaha. Kuli ana i ta papai. Ha papa he e lai. E ala e kanalo ai. E ala e ka he e. E ala ka he e palaha. E ala ka he e mahola. E ala ia ke olai. 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 E o mau ki ai mai ka pō mai. E nāna ia mai ka hale o mākou. Mai luna lalo mai ka hiki ia, ka hiki i mai ka hiki nā ke komohana mai kau kei kai. Mai loko a waho. Kia i ia, mālama ia. E pale aku i nā hoopili kia ane i ko ka kou no hana. A mama ua noa. Lele vale aku.